Welcome to Realign, a reflective journey, where we explore how to pause, reflect, and realign with what matters most. This week, we're diving deep into the soul side of the journey, reconnecting with our energy, intuition, and spiritual center. Joining me today is Angelica del Carmen, a guide in multidimensional wisdom and soul embodied living. She's here to help us explore what it means to realign with energy and soul. Welcome, Angelica.
Hello.
As usual, I'm always happy to have you here, especially for these energy and soul talks. So, you're like one of my favorite people to talk to for this type of information.
Yay, good. I'm always happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
All right, well, let's just jump in. So, we often talk about energy and intuition, but many people still struggle to trust their inner knowing. How can we begin to reconnect with our energy and recognize the voice of the soul beneath all the noise?
That's an interesting question because I think a lot of people just kind of want to do like a switch. They just want to turn on their intuition and be like, okay, I'm ready to listen. How do I listen? How do I turn this thing on? It doesn't work that way. It's a relationship you have to learn how to cultivate within yourself, within knowing. So before we jump deeper into all those things, but I think the first step is to learn how to unlearn maybe all the things that we've been told. Because for us to learn how to listen to ourselves in the way I see things, we first have to learn how to unlearn learning from everybody else, listening to everybody else. Since we were little, we've always been told what to do, what to think. This is how you do this is how you do that. As we grow up, as we're in society, as we live life, we determine what we think we believe and feel and think we have to do based on what other people are doing, thinking, what experts are telling us. So it's kind of, I think the first step is learn how to stop listening to all those outside voices so that you can start learning how to find and listen to your intuition. Because again, it's not just a switch that people think, oh, I'm just going to turn this thing on.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting aspect of how to notice that and how to start seeing all those different things and recognizing what intuition means for you. Because I think that's another part. Intuition comes to all of us, but we all kind of get it in a little bit of a different way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that absolutely makes sense because how my intuition speaks to me would be different on how your intuition speaks to you. And I think, you're right. It's very important for us to learn how our own intuition speaks to us. And it isn't just a switch. And even when you start learning, I've found even when you start learning how your intuition speaks to you, you still sometimes miss it.
Oh,
So it's not like the switch off and on, off and on. It's like it's something you have to cultivate, So,
yeah. Right.
so I absolutely agree with that. So you also often speak about the difference between ego-driven and soul-led choices. We've had many discussions on that. Can you share what the distinction feels like in the body or the energy field between ego-driven and soul-led?
Okay, basing it on the previous question, it's going to feel different for everybody, right?
Yes.
I'll talk about me, then I'll talk about like general things. But again, I
Okay.
don't want people to be like, oh my God, that's not what I feel. So I don't have that. So for me, you know, when you sometimes get like goosebumps when you think of something and you kind of get goosebumps and you're like, ooh, that was like unexpected.
Yes.
For me, that's like an intuition, something my body telling me, hey, listen up. What I've discovered lately, which is hilarious because it's changing, very subtle. And that's another part that I wanted to bring up. These guidance that our body gives us, that our intuition, that our energy field, they're very subtle. Sometimes people want like this really big bang, like I just said, goosebumps. They're like, okay, I'm ready for the goosebumps. Give me a yes or no. It doesn't work like that. But it's these very subtle changes. So lately, what's been happening to me is I'll think of something and then I notice that it's an intuition decision based, versus the soul. because it'll just come to me. I'm not thinking it. I'm not strategizing. I'm not planning what I'm going to do. It's just, let's say I'm driving and all of a sudden it's like, quote unquote, I get inspired and the idea comes, or the answer to something I had been wondering what to do about comes. And it's very subtle, but lately the goosebumps have not been subtle. They have been full force, and there is no denying that something is nudging me, as in pay attention. So I think we need to learn how to recognize our own body, our own energy, our own senses. Because when we do have a soul decision, we feel more grounded. We feel at peace with it. You just have a knowing. Maybe you don't even know how or why, but you have like that gut feeling, right?
Yeah.
That gut feeling of, oh wow, that's how it is. Versus when it's ego driven, I love the ego. And again, we've talked about it before. The ego isn't a bad monster like people have put it out to be. The ego's there for a purpose and it helps us. But we can recognize when it's an ego driven decision because we're thinking or overthinking, or we're in anxiety about something and trying to resolve it, or we're doing something because we think that's going to be the way out. And those are like the key words. If we're really thinking these things and overthinking and like being in that anxiety and fear and heaviness, there's like when you learn to connect with your intuition, with your body, with your own energy, you can sense a different energy even of the thought. When it's ego driven, you're in this rush. Just think about it like this way. It's like the traffic rush, like the rush hour.
Mhm.
It's like the go, 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 go. You're heavy. It's hot. There's 1,000 people and next to you. Everybody's like obviously trying to get off at the same exit. And when it's soul driven, like when it's a soul driven decision, it's like driving through nature and there's like
Yeah.
one or two cars. You can feel the difference with what I'm talking about, right? Like
Right.
energetic wise, you could even feel, oh God, that would feel so much better than a rush hour traffic jam.
Right.
Those are the intuitions we need to discover for ourselves. How do we find that expansion or that contraction? The traffic would be like the contraction sense, and then the
Yeah.
other one would be the expansion. And when we learn to recognize all those different things for us, you can tell this is a soul driven decision, this is an ego driven decision, and they're both okay as long as you notice what's going on.
Right. Well, you actually, answered what my follow-up to that was going to be, was how can we start to notice it and, a difference in our daily lives? And you've already kind of, said that, this is kind of the things that you need to look out for. So, so you already, you preempted me, but that's okay. That just means that we're aligned, and that's what we're talking about is
See,
realignment.
my
So that being
intuition knew that was coming.
exactly. So, well, then let me pose this for you then. Since we're talking about realignment, what would be your takeaway for someone to help them to get back into realignment or to realign more with themselves, with their energy and their soul? What would you suggest?
Okay, let's do a new one because we always talk about the same, right?
Yeah.
Meditation, journaling, being in nature, kind of controlling your thoughts. Let's give them a different one. The I know a lot of people don't believe in pendulums or they don't work with pendulums and they don't know how, and I don't have one in front of me right now. But the idea of a pendulum is that you hold a pendulum and the pendulum receives your energy. It is a
Mhm.
physical proof. A lot of people think it has its own energy. It doesn't have its own energy. It's mirroring the energy that your intuition is giving it. The way that a pendulum works is when you hold it and you're very still, the first thing you should do is ask the pendulum, please show me a yes, please show me a no. So you recognize the answer of what the pendulum is going to show as a yes or a no. What I suggest is people use their own body, which is sometimes what I do. You use your own body as a pendulum.
Yeah.
You just stand 2 feet on the ground, nothing odd. You just stand 2 feet on the ground and you
Yeah.
just stand there and you literally, I know it's going to sound cuckoo, but
I know where you're going. I know where you're going. Go
you
ahead.
literally ask your body,
Yeah.
okay, please show me what the yes is if I want to connect with you and whatever. Just don't be so analytical and in your head, just let it do whatever it's going to do. Because why? Again, what we're talking about. If we're there thinking, okay, was that it? Was that it? Oh, my left ear scratched. Was that? No, you're
Yeah.
going to notice the difference. And usually people will sway forward and backward.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people say, like my pendulum, the yes is the front, the no is the back. I have had people that are backwards, and
Yeah.
that's okay. It's recognizing what your energy is telling you. But again, it's what I mentioned at the beginning. We have to know and be calm in our own mind to recognize those subtle things that your
Yeah.
body is showing you, because we're so go, 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 go in the head thinking, we don't notice what's happening with the energy. So,
Yeah.
first would be that, but definitely play with that energy and start feeling that energy for yourself.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned the sway test because I use sway testing. Well, I teach my clients to use sway testing for themselves for many things, and there is science behind it, and that's what a lot of people don't realize, and they automatically go, "Oh, that's very woo," but there is science behind it. In scientific circles, it's even called applied kinesiology as well, but sway testing actually is a really good way to kind of start asking your body questions and to start leading you to understanding how your body talks to you to strengthen that intuition. So I love that you added that. I hadn't even thought of that. I usually teach my clients to use sway testing to test for supplements, if this supplement is good for their
Right.
body or not, because it's either going to work with their body, their energy, or it's not. And you can ask your body if it likes it or not. And so I usually use it for that, but I hadn't necessarily thought about using it in this manner. So thank you for adding that. That is some very good information. So, well, there you have it. So the soul already knows the way. The real work is learning how to trust it. And when we slow down, listen inward, and align with our intuitive energy, we begin to move from a place of soul led clarity instead of external pressure. Energy awareness isn't something that's outside of you, it's within you, waiting to be remembered. Your soul is always speaking, but are you ready to listen? Thank you for joining me for this soul centered conversation today. And thank you, Angelica, for joining us and sharing your wisdom with us. And until next time, pause, reflect, realign. And remember, wellness isn't a destination, it's your daily journey. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.